This is my 5th week of doing my Inktober drawing, where I'm doing one large drawing and not following any Inktober prompts. And right now, headed into this 5th week, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to finish this by October 31st. The goal is to just try and make the drawing that I had planned for it to be, even if it takes a little bit longer. So right now I'm in the process of finishing the top part of the tree. I have also been experimenting with how I'm going to do the ink wash when the drawing is done. Okay, so I played around with this one quite a bit. So on this one, on that last layer of the sky, I purposefully left a pool of ink there because I wanted to see if I could get it to create any kind of blooms or anything. And it took a lot of water for that to happen on this paper. It was very interesting. And then I actually did the same thing down here. I did the layer for the mountains, and I dropped big droplets of water in there to kind of create like bloom and texture effects. And it's interesting because this one was just me blotting with a paper towel. And this one was me using the water drop-in. And they're both cool, actually. I don't, I like both of them. This one creates a little bit more randomness. This one creates a few more like harder edges. So they're both kind of interesting and cool, but it took a lot of water to make it happen on this paper. I'm going to attempt to take off this gigantic, what it looks like a rubber over easy egg off of here. And I just don't know what's going to happen. Because I know if this was on cellulose paper and I tried to do this, it would be ripping the paper. So I'm going to be very gentle. And by the way, like in the real picture, if I accidentally rip some paper, I'm going to do some kind of mixed media thing. I already have like a plan in my head for like what I'm going to do if I really screw that up somehow. All right. I have no idea what's going to happen with this. I feel like I'm kind of breaking all the rules of this masking fluid that I used here because they tell you don't use it really thick, don't use it on a big large area. These are all like things that are probably just a bad idea. So I am seeing 3 different colors so far though, so it may be picking up a little bit of ink, but not too much. This is a masking fluid pickup tool, by the way. This is actually made to do this, and it does work really well, like way better than a regular eraser, which is what I used to use. So they're like cheap too. They're like a couple dollars. Definitely worth it. And that was for like 2, by the way, so probably like more like $1 each. I'm feeling to see if it marred the paper anywhere. Let's all right, if you have the patience and you're willing to risk it, this could happen. Oh, I don't know, man. So now that I'm down close to this, I can tell you what I see because I was standing up for a while doing a lot of this. So this method, the paper is in really good shape afterward. So that's nice. That was from a later painting session down here. I think I dripped down there. That's why it's good to leave that masking fluid on until the very end, especially when it's supposed to really be white. Yep. Let's see. This is where I was using both like I used the paper towel to wipe one time, and then like the next session I used like Q-tips. The Q-tips seem to pill up the paper. I'm not really sure if it's the Q-tip pilling this paper or if it's like pills coming off the Q-tip, but when I look up close, it does look like the Q-tip actually pilled the paper. Just a little bit. That's not ideal. So a good thing to know. I don't think I would use any kind of abrasive like wiping of a paper towel or a Q-tip when it's wet like that. Down here, I blotted. And it's in much better shape. And it's the same thing down here, I blotted. I think the reason for that texture is because the paper towel had texture. So if you used a non-textured paper towel, or like a napkin or something maybe, that would probably be fine. Or you could even use like pieces of scrap cloth, you know, maybe that could be interesting actually. You could probably create some cool textures that way. Yeah, I didn't do anything weird over here. This all turned out about how I expected. I did notice that the masking fluid did seem to peel up maybe just a little bit of pen in a couple places, but it really isn't noticeable, honestly. This one is just very interesting to me here. I quite like this bloom effect that I was able to create. So instead, I didn't do any wiping out or blotting out of the mountain area here where this light ray is kind of supposed to be going over. I really only just did that by dropping in water. Now the question I have though, this is in a tiny little area, right? And because this ink really likes to flow like a lot, I'm not sure how well that would work in a larger area. Like, would it just dissipate too much? I don't know. Like, I may have to lay the board totally flat to do that. So maybe like over here, or even like on the back of this paper where it's just a very light ink wash, maybe I'll experiment with doing it in a bigger area and see what happens. It's probably a good idea, actually. Well, I'm really surprised that this worked pretty well. I just keep feeling to see if anything like came off. This doesn't seem like it did, so. I do notice though, these should be the same color, and so should these, and they're just a little bit lighter. So it did take up some ink. I think in the real picture, I'm probably still leaning towards doing this, but I'm not sure yet. Okay, we're back on this again. In this area, I'm playing around more with different ideas. And what I did here was I did 2 layers of the lightest wash, and I actually just manually painted around this outer ring of the sun on this one. And then when I was done with the 2 layers, then I put masking fluid down in the places that I wanted to be kind of like not, you know, not the whitest white, just a little bit darker than white, where I was going to preserve those highlights. And my idea was that since there were 2 layers of that ink wash underneath, that it would lift up some but not all, so to be kind of more like that color or something, maybe this color. And that's what I want it to be anyway. So we're going to try that. And then on this one, I'm going to draw this same picture, and then I'm going to put the highlights on from the beginning. Anything that's even remotely highlighted is getting masking fluid, which I may do on the picture. That's why I'm going to play with it. And then once I do the 3 layers of this wash, then when I peel off the masking fluid, then I'll go in and make some of them just a really light tone wash and just do it manually on all the highlights. It's not as efficient, but it might be better in the long run. So I really want to be sure. That's why I'm doing all this. I know it probably seems like bonkers, but I kind of enjoy this like sort of scientific process of evaluating things. I just like the opportunity to play around in kind of a low stress situation. So a lot of like things that I'll paint, I'll just go for it if it's like smaller. But since this thing is so big and I spent so much time on it, I'm not willing to gamble that way. But I'm just having fun over here. It takes a lot of deep concentration and focus to do all those little leaves and all of that deep detail. And you have to kind of blow off steam in various ways. So while I'm working, like about every 30 minutes or so, I'll get up and maybe I'll go get on the treadmill and watch, you know, the horror movie that I'm watching for Halloween right now, or I'll do this kind of a thing, or, you know, you have to take a lot of breaks. It's mentally taxing. It's fun, but it's just, you know, there's only so long you can do that before you start to really tense up and you just kind of start to burn yourself out. Okay, this one sat overnight, and so I'm going to go ahead and take the masking fluid off of this one. When I went in and like wiped around, the sun picked up some of that. It just didn't really work very well. So I have thoughts about that. I don't know. So underneath, these are all kind of lighter shades of gray is what they should be. So we'll see what that looks like. And then this one, everything underneath masking fluid is white. Maybe with some pen, but there's no shades of gray under masking fluid. I've done 2 layers. I just did the second layer of wash. And I took a paper towel and just kind of did a blot all around the sun to kind of like lighten that area just a little bit. And then for the third wash, I'm going to do the same thing. Yeah, I mean, it's funny though. I still like the hard line the best. So I didn't film while I was doing this, but I just put in a bunch of ink in this part and then a bunch of water and then added more ink and more water. It is very, very, very wet. I'm actually going to show you so you can see it is buckling quite a lot. So that'll give you an idea of how wet I made this. I just really went for it because I really want to try and create those kind of blooming effects and gets a little bit more randomness in there. So I'm going to see if I like what that looks like. And that'll help me decide what I'm going to do on this experiment. So, all right, this is only partially dry. I'm already kind of like not a fan of what's happening there because it's kind of pulling around other things. And that's not really the look that I want. So I'm going to do this one. And instead of trying to blot it out with a paper towel, I'm actually just going to use paintbrush to soak up the extra around this area to kind of create that little bit of that sun ray. I think that's going to work. We're going to see. Yeah, I already kind of like that better, to be honest with you. And yes, the ink is pooling down here, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. It's kind of cool, actually. See, it's funny. You never know till you try stuff. Yeah, I like the way I did the tree over here, too. The tree, I actually just put only slightly diluted ink, and then I went in and just wiped out the extra, just like I did here. That seems to be the best way to do it. I will say that this paper stands up pretty well to a lot of abuse. I mean, I'm going in there and kind of scrubbing it with the paintbrush and doing all sorts of stuff, and it's drying pretty well. So it seems to be standing up to multiple applications of masking fluid in the same place, which I'm kind of surprised about. So it's worth it. The more expensive paper is worth it. All right, I'm finally ready to peel off some masking fluid on both of these. Then I'll go in and touch some things up. I mean, I think I like this one better. Hard to tell though, until I'm kind of done with all this. So this side is the one where a lot of the masking fluid was on top of a shade of gray and not on full white, except for the sun. Now this side over here, it was pure white. Everything that I put the masking fluid on top of was still white. So I'm kind of thinking that's just the way to go here because I think it just makes everything easier to control. So I still need to put the second ring around the sun on this one. And my plan was to do it afterward in the end. See what that looked like. So I see a little bit of pencil marking, so I'm gonna fix that right now. So for this, I'm actually gonna put just a ring of masking fluid right here where the sun is. And I'm gonna let that dry while I'm messing with everything else. And then I'll come back and paint this ring over here. And the other thing I was gonna do, I'm gonna put some masking fluid right here and see if I can fix this. I kind of think that I might be able to kind of lift that little bit there. Like kind of like a way to just edit that just slightly. We'll see if that works. It may not work, but I figured I might as well try, right? So these ones were already like probably this color, the lightest shade. And then I put in like a mid-tone to darken up the parts of the bristles that are closer to us. And this one, I left the tips of them all pure white and then only did just like a lighter shade. So I'm just gonna let all that dry and see which one I like better. Kind of like this better, which is kind of really what's more in the photo reference. Truly the only really white thing is right here. So I'm gonna let that masking fluid dry and I'm gonna come back. All right, now that these have dried, you can see that I need to darken this stuff up in here a little bit, so I'm going to. And then I'm gonna paint that layer around the sun. And this one hasn't quite dried yet, so I'll come back to that in a minute. I can see where the masking fluid was. The paper's a little bit marked from that. Might be a problem. Looks kind of dark right now, but I think it'll lighten up as it dries. You can see the overlap there. So I don't know if I'm gonna like that or not. It might not really matter when it dries, so we'll see. All of these, I'm just gonna paint a little layer over them. And they may need another layer after that. Now, the interesting thing is that these two backgrounds don't look a whole lot different when they're dry. And I suspected that might be the case, actually. So I think I am still gonna do this area the way I did it over here. But if I, get extra water in there or have some pooling effects in some places, I know now that it's only gonna add interest and it's not really gonna be a problem. So that's good to know. All right, let's peel off this masking fluid. Let's see what happens, guys. Okay. This one's not quite as dry as I'd like yet, so I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit longer. I was not as careful as I should have been right there, and you can see I kind of got lazy and I paid for that. So that's good to know. It actually does kind of work though. It's not perfect, but it's something you could try if you needed to. It's kind of funny. Yeah, I'm not liking the way this is drying. I have to say, this one is the winner, and this is where I literally just manually painted in those rings, and I left the sun. The sun was the only thing that had masking fluid on it. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, we're gonna peel this off. I don't like though what that looked like. Painting over a spot that's had masking fluid on it before is tricky, and I don't think that that's a great plan. Yeah, I don't like that. The reason I'm hesitant to do it this way is that I'm going to have to do, like if you look at this, I'm going to have to do this big old wash that goes all the way down, and then I'm going to have to get that right when I come down there. Which means I'm going to have to switch brushes, I'm going to have to kind of like paint around and then like make them meet. I'm going to have to do all that without like screwing it up. That's kind of stressful. I have found though that this is, as long as I use enough water, this is not going to dry too quickly on me. So I'm nervous about it, but maybe I'm being a little silly, you know? I'm just trying to avoid that from happening. It is just very dry here all the time, and so things like this will dry more quickly here, way more quickly here than you would believe. So that's why I'm just trying to really think it through and make good decisions here. Now, as far as whether to mask everything that's like a highlight, basically, no matter what shade of highlight, it just doesn't seem to matter, to be frank with you. It's kind of ending up looking the same either way I do it. So that's actually kind of nice, though. That means that this can be a little more forgiving. The hard part about doing this is that it just has to sit there and dry. Like, sometimes you just can't do anything else till that part's done. This is all requiring patience, which is not a thing I'm great at. So this is where I have made it to on day 30. I mean, I feel like tomorrow I might actually be able to basically be done with the drawing part. I don't know. We'll see. I'll be close. Well, I'm still going to be spending like a week doing the ink wash part and finishing up little details once that's done. But still, I'm just genuinely surprised, to be completely honest with you. So, yeah. The hardest part of this today has been that I've just been having to stand to do this whole section. It's just a lot of standing in one place for a long time. My feet actually just hurt. Just maybe not what I expected to be the thing holding me back. I like this top area is very chaotic, and I feel like I conveyed that well. I like the chaos. I didn't make it as precise and pretty because it isn't really in real life, and I kind of wanted to just bring that energy to the forefront. I really like this section right here. That took forever, but it looks cool. This area over here is the ultimate in chaos, and it's not pretty and it's not going to be. And then this area over here that I'm still working on, a lot of this is almost pure black. So it's a lot of drawing silhouettes, kind of. Which is why I think there's actually a possibility I could be done with the drawing part tomorrow, which is crazy. So when I'm done with the drawing, my next step will be going through and making sure I have masking fluid on every highlight that I want it on. There might be a couple spots that there were some spots that I had to like take it off because it wasn't really placed right. Or I kind of changed my mind about some things. So now I got to go in and revise that in a couple places. And in the end, I will absolutely go in and add white highlights anywhere that they're really missing. So I have that white Sennelier shellac-based ink and the Titan Buff golden flute acrylic to use to touch things up in places that I feel like don't have the highlights they need. So that'll be my last step, but that's not coming for a long time. After doing all this practice with the ink wash, I'm not as nervous about it. I feel like this paper is pretty forgiving, to be honest with you. And I feel like if I really mess it up, I can always just paint over it. Like on the sun, for instance, I can paint over it, which I did when I was practicing. So I know that that's possible. Oh my goodness. I am really tired though. Yeah. It's too late and I'm going to be up too late tomorrow too. All right, by far, the pen that I have used up the most in this endeavor is the regular sized brush pen. This will be my third. So I have two left that are like, there's not that much ink left in them. They're kind of giving a soft line, which, you know, is useful for certain things. So if there are some areas that I need to fill in that are kind of, you know, fluffy or need a little bit of texture, those are going to be great. But this area that I'm doing right now is really saturated and I need the lines to be really precise and clear. So I have broken out my last one. Okay, this is where I have made it to at the end of the month. It is October 31st, and I'm tired. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm definitely not gonna finish this tonight, so I will show you what I did. So that's where I'm at with that. And it's a tangled web and maze in there, so it's just taking a while to navigate all of it visually. But honestly, today I was just wiped out again, man. I'm just tired. So yeah, gonna keep working. I think it'll take me probably another day or even two to finish this stuff. And then I'll be able to move on to the next thing. But I am happy about how far I made it this month. I think I did quite a lot. And I don't feel bad about that. It's been fun too. I've had fun kind of like creating all the little shapes and playing with all the interesting things in the branches and everything. So I will continue tomorrow. right, it is November 1st. Still working on that crown. This right side is a lot of negative drawing, where I'm drawing the spaces instead of drawing the masses, and it's a different kind of complicated. I'm mostly just, you know, this is a visual maze that I keep getting lost in, and when I was drawing this part, I kind of put things in the wrong place a couple times, and so I'm having this fun little game of trying to join things back together in a way that makes logical sense, and kind of improvising sections and also kind of squishing other sections together and having to decide what I have to just remove. So that's been interesting. Okay, but I want to show you some cool parts that I really like in here, because this is what I enjoy about doing stuff like this. Seems like very tedious, I know, but there's like a lot of fun in playing with the shapes and kind of taking something that's there that kind of looks like something and then turning it more into that thing. And sometimes I do that subconsciously, and sometimes it's just something that I'm playing with purposefully. So I'm going to show you some of the cool spots I found. This spot in there, I thought that was so cool that actually was like in the reference photo. It's really interesting. I think, you know, as a viewer down on the ground, I was just in exactly the right angle to see that. Okay, so the other spot that I really like is right here. If you look at it, there's like this swirl of stuff that happens all the way through there. It's really cool. And in the picture, you know, you're just so far away that I'm not entirely sure what it is that's really happening there. It's just kind of what all the masses look like by the time you get down here, and it kind of turns into its own kind of intuitive line drawing situation. I really like this here too. So cool. I see another eye in there, which is kind of funny. And there's something about like those lines that feel kind of fishy, like fish. The little ends of those branches that are kind of popping up are pretty cool. So it's taking a while for me to work through this, but I like it. It is fun. So it just takes a lot of concentration. It's like deep concentration for like 20 minutes, and then I gotta get up and go do something else, or I'm just like, my brain, like my eyes are just crossing, you know? Like they're trying to follow all these little lines, and it's just, you just get lost in them. It's a lot like doing the bark. And I find in this area that even having like a string marker isn't like that helpful. It really comes down to my ability to concentrate in the moment. So I will continue all of this tomorrow. Progress. Oh man. Oh, hopefully I can be done with this tomorrow. We'll see. I'm almost done with this just like maze though, so I'm happy about that. Because it's like a cool part and it's fun to do, but it's just taking a really long time. So my voice is even saying so. It's taking a really long time. And just tired. My eyes are tired. My mind is tired. I'm finally hitting the point where I'm kind of starting to see the end of drawing this tree. So this is kind of the last tangled mass of branches before I do some large pine needles on the side. And then I get to start actually doing the ink wash, which I'm pretty excited about. I am way tired, so I'm calling it for today. Basically done with that top part, which is cool. So I worked on this section today, and this is such a cool little spot. So I really love this right here. So neat. And then there's just like some cool little flourishes and interesting things happening in here. And you start to get back into the bristles where you can really tell that they're bristles, you know, and they're kind of bigger, and it's just a cool little area. I really like it. I purposefully left this spot a little bit more bare so you could see it. And yeah, I like that area. Now, tomorrow, I'll do this section. And these are mostly a continuation of these bristles that are down here. They're kind of over here, overlapping this tree. And so a lot of that will be brush pen. It will not be nearly as detailed. I think it probably won't be like that much to do that one, but we'll see. And when I'm done with that, my next step will be to go through and erase pencil just forever. It's going to take a long time. So that'll probably be all of tomorrow. So we're getting there. So what I have to do next in this area is interesting. I have to kind of continue these big pine needles with a smaller pen, but not put too many there because I need to leave a lot of white still. And then once I'm done with that, then I'm going to fill in the rest of that because it kind of wraps behind it. So it's going to be interesting. I spent a lot of time kind of thinking about how I was going to do that while I was doing the other part. A lot of strategy involved here. Man, I'm so close. I just have a little bit more to go. That's quite a convoluted thing going on in there. I really thought that was going to go faster, but not quite. There's a lot of switching pens and changing the kind of strokes you're doing. It takes longer than it seems like it should. So I'm really getting there, but there's still a little bit more to do.